Welcome to FX Street, Currency in Play. I'm joined by Eddie Toffpick. He's the head of foreign exchange at ADM Investor Services International. Morning to you, Eddie.
Good morning.
Right, without further ado, let's go to the number of slides that have been prepared by the team. Top trends, US dollar, the index offered below 93 post non-farm payroll. Obviously a very strong non-farm payroll number.
Yeah.
Is the dollar all about the economy at the moment, or is it all about politics?
I think the politics have taken a back seat. We're moving more towards the economy side. And what was interesting actually was a revision up in the previous numbers as well. So
because people were expecting that though, weren't they?
Well, they were expecting revision because it was good, but they were expecting it to come back down to the median, which has been recently about 180, 188, something like that. And what we saw was actually a good number for the previous month and a good number for last month as well.
Understood. In terms of the euro against the US dollar, bounced off 117.30. Focus on the US-German yield spread, something I don't actually follow. In terms of the euro-US, succession of higher highs, higher lows, a nice trend in place.
Absolutely, it's a brilliant trend. It's just gradually moving within a nice little trend. It tried the top side of it on the Friday, didn't want to bust above it. It went all the way back down again to the bottom side of it as well, and it's still trending nicely up within it.
Understood. In terms of dollar-yen, range bound between 110.60 and 110.80, is that fair?
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
What advice do you give to people in sort of trendless markets?
Options.
Ignore them.
Options. Look at options. If there's nothing else going on, or find something that moves more interestingly.
Yep.
There are plenty of opportunities out there. Off camera, we were talking about South African Rand. There's some of the minor currencies. They're more interesting at the moment. And so it may be worthwhile looking at something like that where there's opportunity and you know things are going to be happening there.
Just going back to the options on dollar yen,
Yeah.
I love options. Okay, so would you be basically what would you be doing? Selling calls and puts?
Well, on the basis I can't give advice,
Yep.
but it would be exactly as you would say, be trying to get in premium to which is the volatility. To be honest, the volatility hasn't been that much necessarily. But if you're looking to try and have to trade dollar yen, and the market is going to be trending sideways, then you look to try and get some of that volatility back in as it comes down.
Understood. Now back to my favourite, the British pound against the US dollar, supported near 130.20. We saw this sort of 132 area.
Yeah.
Brexit concerns back to the fore. Big headlines. I think it was in the Sunday Telegraph. 40 billion fine. Couple of headlines on cable.
Well, I think the substance of the talk is that the numbers they're talking about. So let's get the first thing clear. They've agreed basically there's the money going to be going over to Europe. Now the UK, so allegedly, is looking to give 40 billion. The European Union, which is 60. So it's not so much whether money is owed, it's how much it is. And if we centre in the middle or towards one or other side, it looks like a deal's going to go ahead, and then that clears the way for be able to talk about trade deals and other things.
Okay, well, you sound like a politician there, dare I say it.
No, don't insult me like that.
Right, okay, let's go on to some charts. Let's kick off with the Aussie against the US dollar. Obviously, a lot of trend lines, a lot of moving averages.
I'm sorry for putting so much stuff, but it's really, really interesting. It's a market that's just about to top over. It looks like it could be possibly heading down. We had a key reversal on the Friday. Key
reversal at high price area is bearish, isn't it?
Yeah, this one, key reversal down, this one, so it's pushing down. We had two spike tops, market spiking up and then coming back down again, one of which was actually the high for, I think, 2 years.
Right.
So we've really tried new highs, and it looks like the market may not like it up there, and it may be coming down, possibly down. The first area of support is around about the 78.17 area, which is a 50% Fibonacci level. But the next area beyond that is 100 points below that, and the next one up below that is 100 points.
So seller for choice on the charts?
I think there might be some selling interest in that market because it's already started to happen. But everything, all the lag indicators, the moving average, etc., they haven't turned over yet. It's something that's happening right now.
But we know moving averages lag the market, don't
they? Yeah, exactly. But so many systems use those.
Yeah, which is extraordinary. Okay, let's move on to the euro against the US dollar. We've talked about these higher highs, higher lows. 120, here we come.
Wouldn't be unreasonable to say that probably in about a couple of weeks. As long as we stay above that centre time line you can see there, the one through the middle. Now that Friday we came right to that and bounced above it. Today we've gradually moved slowly above, again over 118. But as long as we stay above 117 for the rest of this week, and then stay above, if we manage to keep going above 118, stay just over 118 for the next week, then there's an opportunity, I think, to try 120 at that point.
Okay, there's nothing really to add to that.
It's a lovely. I mean, you could have drawn this thing
say that's a textbook
March to
chart,
April, and you know exactly where the support and resistance lines are, and you could have done that and played the market nicely on that one.
Understood. Let's move on to the euro against the Great British Pound. Not so great on this chart.
True, but it's an interesting one. If you want to do something else, is to look at this and say, okay, this is likely to break higher. But the 21st century high is within the top of this chart. It's at 94.12.
Okay.
That's why it's interesting. We're going up to some pretty heavy resistance. Now, from 90.50 to about 91.50, there's free water. There's nothing much apart from that upper trend line, which has only got tested once. But beyond that, we've got pretty good resistance, sort of every 70 ticks or so. And as we get closer and closer to the 21st century high, I think you're going to see a cap being put on the market potentially, with maybe some stops above it.
So in terms of the clients, the institutions, would they be looking at this saying this is an area of resistance? How would they actually trade this?
I think if they're looking, if they're short-term traders, they'll be looking to say, okay, we'll have orders just ahead of the resistance with stops above it.
Okay.
And then sell orders just ahead of resistance, stops above it.
Right, let's move on to Bitcoin, the Bitcoin daily. Which currency is this in? This is in US dollars?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The interesting thing is obviously the fact it's now well above the 3,000 level.
So is that a psychological round number?
Yeah, it's all been to do with the fork and various other technical issues relating to Bitcoin itself. But it's where does it go now? And the rally on the the Thursday of last week, that pushed it all the way up to just short of the first real resistance, Fibonacci resistance, 33.65. I think actually that's the Thursday in that case, Thursday or Friday. It's come up to that resistance and then it's halted. So, but most interestingly, we've had two closes now above 3,000. It's now starting to form a new base, a new area of support which is above the 3,000 level. Give it a few more days to see if it's genuine, and then there's an attempt then at 3,500.
Okay, the old cynic in me.
Yeah.
Do the charts work on Bitcoin?
Yes.
No question.
No
and is
question.
that because it's liquid?
Charts work,
volume?
and that's the end of it. American would say period. I'm not American. Charts work. Full stop.
Okay. How high does this go on this leg up?
On this leg up, I'd say look at 3,500 first there, and then see the action there.
So up to 3,500 from a technical perspective.
Yeah, look at the only thing to watch out for on the downside is the 25.85 level.
Okay.
Two closes below that.
That's quite a stop that's quite distant, right?
Well, the interesting feature, the support is at 3,000. So, and we're talking. This is
how many markets we've seen in that situation? You get the 2-day close above. Okay. You get the pullback, and the textbooks would say, okay, 3,000 should hold. Psychological round number, closes back below 3,000, then snaps back up. How do you play that?
Well, you've got to allow the fact that don't put all your money on one single transaction.
Right.
This is all money management and being able to look after that as well. This is an opportunity for it to try higher still. It may come down. It may come down to 29.50. But it will still be good at that level.
Right. So that area, because it's quite important about technicals.
You're talking about yen, where it's hardly anything going on. And look at this one, where there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of noise, but it's clear noise. You can actually make out the tune.
Okay. So up to 3,500, potentially.
One would hope, yes.
Understood. Right, let's go on to the economic calendar. In terms of the US today, we've got the labour market conditions and FOMC members speaking and the consumer credit change. Anything there to move and shake the markets?
I think probably just there's two, Kashkari and there's somebody else actually at the FOMC speaking today. And that's going to be it, I think, really. We've had the big action, which was the Friday non-farm payroll. Now we've got quiet period now. Everybody's going on holiday. You're going to have a lovely time. Next time I see you, hopefully have a tan on you. And that will be then September. Labor Day, that period. We then look at the next thing, which will be obviously in September, whether we have another rate hike or not.
Final thoughts from a technical perspective. What's the best looking chart at the moment?
On the Aussie, I would have set out that one. I really like the Aussie, and it's not the first time I've said it. I really like that one. There's something about it which is really, really interesting.
Commodities breaking to the upside.
Exactly, metals, energy involved in it as well.
Understood. Eddie, as always, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
That's Eddie Toftbeck, Head of Foreign Exchange at ADM Investor Services International.